Now this is okay. This is going to be tough because it's the first musical we've done, and I want to see how. One thing I've noticed in the early reactions is that I don't know if you guys are reacting the right way to musicals.
This movie is irredeemable dog shit.
No, I
disagree.
musicals are lyrical, and people feel uncomfortable talking about things that are lyrical.
It was pretty good compared to the ninth configuration.
I like the ninth configuration better. Everything about this movie rubbed me the wrong way. Not the least of which, again, like the whipsawing back and forth between we're gonna have a fun dancey knife fight like it's the Beat It music video, to this is horrific violence that was committed against Black people as part of a backlash against the Windrush generation. And then we're going to have a very visceral fight in the apartment, and then we're going to go back to dancing knife fighting. Then we're going to have another visceral fight in the alley. Like it just was all over the place, and I couldn't figure out what the movie wanted me to feel at any point in time, except for selling out is good and then selling out isn't good. Which it does also switch back and forth during the movie about whether or not selling out's good. It never really lands on an answer, I don't think, because Bowie's character is good for selling out, but the guy Colin, when he sells out, it's bad, and then when he unsells out on TV, it's good. And I don't know. Like, I don't know what this movie was about.
No, at the beginning of the film, Patsy Kensitt's character, Suzette, wants him to grow up. He's just hanging around Soho doing nothing and not making any money and not doing anything. And she has ambitions, and she says it in that wonderful tune, "Having It All." I thought that was beautifully done. You know, in the cafe. With that, the lighting was just astounding. Come on, it was yellows and purples, and it was just great. But anyway, she says it, and he eventually does sell out. And what it comes to is he finds out a big thing. This is like a boomer movie in a lot of ways. She discovers what adult life is all about, and adult life is all about acquiring and destroying, and things that happen on a level that most people don't get at, and it's oppressing people. You know, this is all based on real events. This is all about the gentrification of Hammersmith and the West End.
But you only find that out about 45 minutes to an hour in, that this is a movie about like gentrification and race riots, because up to that point, it seems to be like a love story.
Well, you can't have both?
Ish.
Yeah, but they don't connect. Like in West Side Story, the love story is the conflict. In this movie, the love story is like an A story, and then the race riots are a B story, and they never really meet.
This is another one of those movies where I would be much more interested in a documentary about the Notting Hill race riots than actually watching this movie.
Right.
Like the actual story there is super interesting. I went and did a bunch of reading about it afterwards. Yeah. Like that was what I was interested in when I was watching it.
Also, I did read the book, so I'm kind of a little biased in that respect.
So, do you think the book is better, especially with the ending that the book has?
Well, the book isn't a musical. I'll give you that.
Well, it's the musical. It being a musical doesn't bother me. Musicals don't per se bother me. It's the way that the musical nature of this movie changed the tone of what was happening from moment to moment during the movie.
Right.
Like there's plenty of musicals I enjoy. I would say like Muppet Christmas Carol is a musical, and I love that movie. Wow. And one of the things that Muppet Christmas Carol does is it actually makes you more interested in the internal workings of Scrooge in a song. There's a song where his girlfriend's leaving him because he's not ready to marry her, and Scrooge is watching this happening from behind and starts to understand that this was the moment that he broke as a human being. Like, you can make really good musical numbers that really play into the overall theme and focus of what's going on. This doesn't do that, except for David Bowie's song, which is the only good one in the movie, in my opinion. And it's super interesting. And also, how much fucking money did they spend building that typewriter?
Right.
Good
It looks
question.
like half the budget was in that one musical number because they got the globe that he's riding on the airplane going around,
and the mountain and the whole
typewriter.
Well, it was a throwback to the 50s. Also, one of the reasons I picked this is I didn't want to do a Broadway musical adaptation. I just want to do something that was pure musical.
I might be in the minority.
Yes, Jared. Yes.
You're fired.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I might be in the minority. I guess I'm probably in the minority. I haven't heard Jim talk, but I might be in the minority in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you liked it?
I remember seeing it when it came. Santa and I saw it right when it came out.
Galaxy, right?
Yeah, probably.
In 70.
I remember us being sort of. I don't remember loving it at the time, but I did find a lot of things about it I liked more this time. Now the illusion is broken because you raised your hand into the frame, Chris. But the whole time it's looked like you've been sitting there with a deadpan expression with your arms.
Chris is not a crook.
No, exactly. There are things that are like shit. This movie looks great.
Oh my god!
It's what was really interesting to me was, and I had to go back and watch it 2 more times after the first time I went through it. You hear a lot about the unbroken take. Mm-hmm. And no one ever talks about the opening scene of this movie.
No.
There's 2 or 3 cheats.
Yeah,
but that's a pretty impressive scene.
Yeah, you can see the scene if you look hard.
The amount of shit going on was pretty. What's that?
You watched this 3 times?
No, I watched that scene 3 times.
The opening scene.
Yeah.
The opening scene is about 7 or 8 minute semi-unbroken take of him kind of cruising around. I guess it's south of Oxford Street. It's
Soho, yeah.
Yeah.
Soho back in the day, yeah.
On a backlot set, which I thought was really well done. I still find that the costumes, the art direction, I would watch this before I would watch La La Land like 100 times.
I much prefer La La Land. I much prefer La La Land.
La La Land drove me nuts. It was just I hate movies about Hollywood. That was a musical movie.
I liked the fact that Bowie shows up. That's great. But then I really love when Ray Davies showed up. I love that entire scene where they pull back and they show the dollhouse set. Like I thought that was really clever.
That was kind of fun.
What was that joke? What was that joke about La La Land?
I don't know.
Is there a joke about La La Land?
Yeah, where they're like, "Thank you, Ryan Gosling, for explaining to Black people what jazz is," or something like that.
I'll give you that.
Yes, Ray Davies is definitely a highlight.
Ray Davies was great. The Sade song was great. I thought
that was a fantastic tune.
But yes, then there are things where you're like, I don't remember this movie being so tone deaf.
This is a really well-made piece of shit.
The time has not been good to this movie either, because it's like, yes, anytime the story sort of swung in the direction of, the race riots and the fucking, like, oh my God, the N-word, and like that weird fucking scene where Patsy Kensit like gets her little moment and suddenly she's like jumping around and the Black people are on stage and they're like, wow, like that's, you never make this movie now. No, you can never make this movie ever again. And I read some stuff like Julien Tempkem, who I'm a huge admirer of. It's funny, I don't think with all the music videos we've all been putting up.
We did The Keep, right?
That guy, no, Julien Tempkem? No, Michael Mann did The Keep.
Michael Mann did The Keep. Okay.
Julien Tempkem did,
he did like every music video in the world.
Yeah,
Julien Tempkem, like, exactly. And then he also did the Great Rock and Roll Swindle, which is a fucking minor masterpiece to me. And the follow-up, the Sex Pistols movie in 2000, The Filth and the Fury. I actually like a lot of Earth Girls Are Easy.
Mm-hmm. But that was a close second to the film. But
he says that this movie killed his career. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was an interesting swing and a miss. Like man, like to make a musical in 1986, even though you bring in David Bowie, and maybe in the wake of all the music videos have been leading up and becoming part of popular culture up to that point, maybe it made sense to sign the go to make it. But like, wow, like it was a pretty audacious attempt, even if it didn't work. I was impressed with the fact that they tried.
It literally was a swing.
The budget.
It was a swing and a miss. The thing is, they made the film and they ran out of money halfway through.
What the budget was?
They had to stop shooting halfway through the film because they ran out of money. They raised the second half and they finished the film. It's just
one other comment. I've been trying to figure out for like 2 years where what's her name from Schitt's Creek got the accent from Moira, and I finally figured out it's James Fox in this movie.
Oh wow!
Go back and watch how he pronounces words in his scenes. It's like, holy shit, that's where Moira got it. I can't fucking place this accent. It's not the King's English, that's for sure.
It's received English, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I agree with everything Tad said, but at the same time, like maybe this is like a little bit of the nostalgia for me. Like, oh god, the '80s were fun, music was better, and like all this stuff was great. But there was a lot I liked, and yes, at the end of it though, I don't think that the sum of its part, like it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
What it's trying to do, it fails at. But there was a lot of things about it at the individual level that I thought were great. Still great.
Right.
Yeah, but a well-made piece of shit is still a piece of shit.
Well-made piece of shit. Okay, sure. Well-made piece of shit.
It comes down to the script. It doesn't hold together thematically. Is my take on it. That it doesn't know what it's trying to say, and the fact that it doesn't get around to, it's got a minor character named Cool who's black, and he barely figures in the story, and then the whole race riots thing starts about 55 minutes in or whatever. Way later than that. The movie doesn't know what it's about.
Yeah, I read a plot summary of the novel, and I think the novel sounds an awful lot better than this. The novel's divided up into 4 parts, which are each about 1 month leading up to the riot. Yeah. And it ends with them not getting back together and him leaving England.
Yeah.
And I think
probably how it should end.
Right. I think that's a much better ending, I think, to this story, because he becomes completely disillusioned with England after all of this goes down. And this has a much more hopeful ending to it that I don't think works in the context of what the last 20 minutes of the movie are.
Which was, I thought it was weirdly timely at the time, and I thought it was over the top.
Yeah.
It was at the end got okay. This could happen anywhere at any time, and it did back in 1958.
Yeah, it's happening again right now.
Yeah, and it's happening again right now. So, but in terms of like tone, it is kind of rambling. I'll give you that. It's telling 3 or 4 stories at once, and it's really on the nose. Although I thought it was kind of progressive in that this film had, the minor characters. There was a lesbian and a gay guy and a junkie, really, and that was kind of like, what's
her name, Big Jill or something?
Big Jill, yeah.
She's one of the more appealing characters in the whole thing.
Yeah. So that was kind of a nice background they had going on of certain things. And I thought the Wiz was kind of interesting too. It's kind of like this little hustler kid. Yeah. So it had a lot of interesting elements.
There are nuggets that I liked.
Yeah.
And Big Jill drives one of those weird
the Messerschmitt bubble cars. Yeah, those are good.
The door is the front of the car that opens up.
Yeah.
My friend Barry,
it's actually the Italian version.
My friend Barry has one of those cars.
Yeah. Even though I'm not convinced that Bowie's acting was what we would all want it to be. I mean, just when he starts singing, it's great. But I found that entire middle bit where he's sort of seducing the kid and flipping the kid, like I thought that was all really good.
Yeah, that was my favorite part in the movie. Yeah. It was my favorite. It was my favorite song in the movie. It was definitely my favorite. Like everything going from like walking in the door and there's the people at the typewriters.
Yeah.
It was very good musical setup. It was very good.
Everybody remembers that typewriter.
Yeah. Him pulling an American accent was kind of freaky.
Yeah.
But
that and the Sade song, which I thought was a real standout, and it was like it made all the rest of the songs in the movie sound dumb.
Oh, it just had weed. We liked it because it had weed in it.
I thought the Ray Davies song was good too.
And the Ray Davies song is really fun.
Also, I didn't realize one of the things that, in terms of time not being, and again, this is not being kind. This is different. This was such a boomer story. It's like that. He had a character named Baby Boom in it, for crying out loud. And the thing is,
it was 58.
I know it's 58. At the time, it didn't really strike me because we were kind of like part of the wave. But now I look back, it's 80s nostalgia for the 50s.
Yes,
and new wave take on the 50s.
And we can look at it as we're looking at nostalgically as an 80s film about the 50s. It's really bizarre,
right? Because we're nostalgic, except for maybe Tad. We're probably nostalgic for the 80s.
Exactly.
And I realize that that colors my looking back whatever 30 something years later
Right.
since I saw it the first time.
I don't feel nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
No, I don't.
Clearly.
Well, it was just drowning in it, so that's the thing. It was filled with nostalgia. And even like back in the day, there's nostalgia. Ray Davies is nostalgic about the war, about the bomb shelter and the Blitz baby, that kind of thing. It was really weird. So
whatever it is, whatever you grew up with, you can miss. It doesn't matter how shitty it was.
I'm nostalgic for things that happened yesterday. I'm nostalgic for this call right now, and when it's over,
It's not even over.
Shit, I'm nostalgic for 9 months ago.
Nostalgic from the beginning of it.
Jim, weigh in, please.
I did not hate it. I really like musicals. It's interesting. I thought.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it before?
No, I had not seen it before.
Oh, okay.
I've been meaning to, since he's a name to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
I do like The Great Rock and Roll Swindle better.
Fucking
for what it's worth.
I could watch that all day, every day.
What's that?
I love that movie.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing was, yes, it was all over the place. It couldn't decide. I wasn't bothered so much by the fact I didn't think it was going to be like a documentary on the Notting Hill riots. But I had a feel for it because I went to England in '76 and they had this huge heat wave at that time.
Oh, wow.
So I was staying in the north of London
right.
near Finsbury Park, where all these punks were hanging out, throwing like beer cans at reporters' cars, and the French president came to visit, but people were just like ready to riot because it was so hot and England was not set up.
There's no AC.
Heat. So everybody was just going crazy, and trying to kill each other.
That kind of was a sub story. That was another stressor in the plot.
Well, there's constantly like every newspaper you see talks about how hot it is.
Phew, what a scorcher.
Sheila and I
and at the end, what do you get? You get the rain coming in and finally breaking the heat.
Right.
No, this movie predated Do the Right Thing by about 6 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, Do the Right Thing is basically the same idea.
No, again, this was kind of like a test thing about musicals. I think that most people here can get something out of them, which is good, And I went to something that was kind of left field, and it wasn't based on something previously. It was the second. This was the first choice. The second choice was going to be Earth Girls Are Easy, and the third choice was going to be The Gold Diggers 1933. I just wanted
I will tell you that when I put this on, after the week that we've had,
oh boy,
the first 12 minutes, I was like, oh God, I'm so happy watching this right now. This is exactly what I need. Like this. Oh wow, yeah, this is fun. And then very quickly it kind of takes a turn. But for the first 12 minutes, it's like. I get why people went to musicals during the war.
Yeah, exactly.
I just remembered something that I really, really liked in this movie. The scene where Bowie picks him up in the car, and he has the two giant Santa Clauses in the back.
Yes.
For no reason, he's just got two enormous fucking statues of Santa Claus riding in the back seat of his convertible, and they're like driving around the fucking roundabout with him and all that stuff.
But
that was one of those things to me where I was just like, I could just watch this scene on loop over and over again because it's so fucking weird. Like I really appreciated that.
I love Santa.
That one point was Eileen said, "Oh my God, there's Buckingham Palace," because there was a roundabout in front of Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I didn't hate it.